Shri Rudra Uvacha Kopakalo Yugantaste Hatyam Asurolpaka Tatsutam Pahyupashitam Bhaktam Te Bhaktavatsala Gopakalo Yugantaste Atoyamasurolpaka Tatsutam Pahyupashitam Bhaktam Te Bhaktavatsala Gopakalo Yugantaste Atoyamasurolpaka Tatsutam Pahyupashitam Bhaktam Te Bhaktavatsala.
Shri Rudra Uvacha
Shri Rudra Uvacha
Kopakalo
Yugantaste Atoyamasurolpaka Tatsutam Pahyupashitam Bhaktam Te Bhaktavatsala. Shri Rudra Uvacha Kopakalo Atoyamasurolpaka Shri Rudra Uvacha Kopakalo Yugantaste Atoyamasurolpaka Tatsutam Pahyupashitam Bhaktam Te Bhaktavatsala. Vaishnavi. Shri Rudra Uvacha Kopakalo Yugantaste Atoyamasurolpaka Tatsutam Pahyupashitam Bhaktam Te Bhaktavatsala. Shri Rudra Uvacha Kopakalo Yugantaste Atoyamasurolpaka Tatsutam Pahyupashitam Bhaktam Te Bhaktavatsala. Shri Rudra Uvacha Lord Shiva offered his prayer. Kopakala, the right time for your anger, for the purpose of annihilating the universe. Yuga Anta, the end of the millennium. Te, by you. Hata, kill. Ayam, this. Asura, great demon. Alpaka, very insignificant. Tatsutam, his son, Prahlad Maharaj. Pahi, just protect. Upashatam, who is surrendered and standing nearby. Bhaktam, devotee. Te, of your lordship. Bhaktavatsala, O my Lord, who are so affectionate to your devotee. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Shiva said, at the end of the millennium, is the time for your anger. Now that this insignificant demon Hiranyakashipu has been killed, O my Lord, who are naturally affectionate to your devotee. Kindly protect his son, Prahlad Maharaj, who is standing nearby as your fully surrendered devotee. Everyone can please repeat. Lord Shiva said, at the end of the millennium is the time for your anger. Now that this insignificant demon Hiranyakashipu has been killed, O my Lord, who are naturally affectionate to your devotee, kindly protect his son Prahlad Maharaj, who is standing nearby as your fully surrendered devotee. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the creator of the material world. There are three processes of creation, namely creation, maintenance, and finally annihilation. During the period of annihilation, at the end of each millennium, the Lord becomes angry, and the part of anger is displayed by Lord Shiva, who is therefore called Rudra. When the Lord appeared in great anger to kill Hiranyakashipu, everyone was extremely afraid of the Lord's attitude. But Lord Shiva, knowing well that the Lord's anger is also his Leela, was not afraid. Lord Shiva knew that he would have to play the part of anger for the Lord. Kala means Lord Shiva, Bhairava, and Kopa means the Lord's anger. These words combined together as Kopa Kala refer to the end of the millennium. Actually, the Lord is always affectionate toward his devotees, even though he may appear very angry, because he is Abhyayatma, because he never falls down. Even when angry, the Lord is affectionate toward his devotees. Therefore, Lord Shiva reminded the Lord to act like an affectionate father toward Prahlad Maharaj, who is standing by the Lord's side as an exalted, fully surrendered soul. Om Jnana Niranjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Minatasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vichaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Buddhade Swayam Rupakadam Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhuttade Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So here in this verse, the important word and one of the most important phrases or words to understand Krishna Bhakta-Vatsa. It is our saving grace that Krishna is Bhakta-Vatsa, especially for those of us who are aspiring to be devotees. If you're a devotee on the level of Prahlad Maharaj, it's automatic. As Lord Brahma said that Yat Parayasho Jitochitasya Taistrilokyam, that the Lord, who is unconquerable in the three worlds, is conquered by his devotee. And what kind of devotee? That Bharatiya Vartam, who is always engaged in glorifying the Lord. That kind of devotee. So, therefore, we should always Kirtaniya Sada Hari, as Lord Chaitanya says. We should always be engaged in glorifying the Lord. Of course, Kirtaniya Sada Hari, if you're a Bhajananandi, then you can just chant all day and all night. If you're not, then we extend the glorification or the kirtan to include everything. Just like sometimes we use the term bhajan to mean we sit down with a harmonium and mridanga and we chant a song from Narottam Das Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, or some great Vaishnava, or the Mahamantra. But bhajan actually means, it indicates Kirtaniya Sadahari, that every activity, every thought, every word, every action has to be directed to Krishna. Lord Brahma also said that Kridvag Bapobir Vidadan Namaste. That when you can actually do this, that every thought, word, every activity is just for satisfying Krishna, then very, very nicely situated. Of course, we can also chant Hare Krishna 24 hours. That's another option. But most of us are not. Even the 6 Goswamis, especially Raghunath Goswami, would lament that I have to sleep. I would sleep like 1 hour, hour and a half. He was lamenting that I'm so attached to this world that I'm sleeping. Lord Chaitanya, he said to Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar, he said, all this devotion that you see me exhibiting is not real. It's just an act, right? Just some theatrical performance by me, because I'm breathing. I'm breathing. Therefore, it means I want to maintain this body and this world. So therefore, because I'm breathing, it shows I have no devotion to Krishna. He said, just like a black spot on a white cloth or white sheet is very evident. So you should see, it's very evident that I have no love for Krishna. Just all theatrics. So this is Lord Chaitanya's mood, showing us that we always want to do more for Krishna. This is the mood of a devotee. As Srila Prabhupada said so many times, he would chant, Hey Radhe Devike, Hey Radhe Devike, that Braja Devike, oh Shrimati Radharani, where are you? Nanda Shuno, where are you? Son of Nanda Maharaj. So this is our mood. Not that I saw Krishna last night dancing. Sometimes people come to the temple and they say, yes, I read your book and I see Krishna all the time. No. I say, yes, well, that's very nice that you've accomplished this. Even one lady came to Mexico and she said, the man sitting there in that chair, he seems to be meditating, Prabhupada's deity, but he was talking to me. I go, oh, okay. So people in Kali Yuga, sometimes the line between illumination and imagination is very difficult to find, so especially in some people. So, Bhaktavatsa, and here Lord Shiva says that, my Lord, you killed this, what does he say? Asuro Alpaka, this very insignificant demon. He was terrorizing the whole universe. That's even the name of a previous chapter, that Hiranyakashipu terrorizes the universe. But from Lord Shiva's point of view, just an insignificant demon. And now all the demons, from our point of view, they're very horrible, attacking this country, attacking that country, demoniac tendency. But from the demigod's point of view, it's insignificant. He's using some missiles and bombs, very inferior weapons. Arjuna, he had the ability just, a little achman and a mantra, and he could expand his arrows into thousands of arrows that would go exactly where he wanted them to go. And so this is like cultured warfare. Cultured warfare, you direct the weapon to where you want, not like uncultured warfare. Now they just drop a bomb and kill everybody. No discretion. And they think this is very advanced. Just like yesterday, coming to Rajkot, flying in the airport, just constantly on these screens showing jet planes. Here we are. We have this kind of bomb. We have this kind of missile. We have this. That's every country in the world. So some countries they have no army, but the ones that do have an army and a military force, they're always, we're so powerful, we're so great. But from Lord Shiva's point of view, they're even not asuras. They're not even qualified to be called asuras. They're just like, mini microscopic imitation asuras. But they look very big to us. Just like if you have an ant crawling on your body, you may think it's insignificant insect, and he's thinking, look at this vast terrain that I'm walking on. So, but when it comes to Krishna, just like this is the beginning of the prayers. From here, they will all go downhill. Like the first prayer from Lord Brahma, you are the supreme everything. This is the previous verse. You are the supreme everything. And Srila Prabhupada, in his purport, he says, he's referring to the nature of Lord, the prayer is actually in one sense referring to the prayers of Bhishma, glorifying Krishna, saying, that, I can't remember the verse, I can look that up, 1912, very beautiful verse by Bhishma. Several verses. 12, he says, Aho kashtam aho jnanyam, that how can this type of suffering be imposed upon you who are Yayudyam Dharmanandanaha, oh son of Dharma. You, all of you, you should. How can we understand this is happening? Vipra Dharmachyuta. Because you are protected by Dharma, you're protected by the Brahmins, and you're protected by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, how could these things possibly have happened? Then he goes on and he says that, and my daughter-in-law, Kunti, she suffered so much. And he says, he's basically saying, because of you, because of all of you, she suffered so much. Why did she have to suffer? Why did you have to suffer? And he says, in my opinion, this is due to inevitable time. So, Kaloshmi, Krishna says, I am time. So he's saying, inevitable time, that's a philosophical way of saying Krishna. Just an indirect way. And then he says, how wonderful it is. It's irreversible. Otherwise, how could all of you, the Pandavas, be so bewildered? And then, O king, who can understand the plan of Lord Krishna? Even though philosophers inquire and struggle to understand this, they cannot do so. And then he says, you should understand. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because you don't, he's saying that because he's telling the Pandavas, you really don't understand. You don't fully understand who is Krishna. Just like Arjuna when he saw the universal form. He said, my Lord, I've been lounging with you, joking with you, and now I'm understanding who you are. Just like when Dwarka pastime, when Arjuna tried to protect the ninth son of the Brahmin who had lost 8 sons, who was condemning Ugrasena. What kind of a king are you that you allow a son to die before his father? Just imagine the responsibility of a leader. Nowadays we have people like in the U.S., running the whole country on the basis of my business opportunities. Vaishya Prabhupada said, the whole world is run by Vaishyas and Shudras, by capitalists and communists. So how can you expect anything good to come out of that? They're all thinking about, there's some thought, okay, let's help the people of this country, but at the cost of people of everywhere else. It's not like, let there be benefit for the whole world. Loka Mangalam. Let there be Loka Mangalam. Just like in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami said, Bhavadbir Loka Mangalam, that your questions, Yatkrita Krishna Samprashno, your questions are wonderful because these questions are beneficial for everyone. And Shukadeva Goswami says the same thing when he begins the Bhagavatam for the second canto. First thing he says, Variyan Ejate Prashna, that Krito Lokahitam Vipa. These questions are so wonderful because they're beneficial for everyone. And then he says that Atmavit Samatam Pumsam. And this is confirmed. He doesn't say, just like a devotee, we should never say, I know. No, this is confirmed. Just like when Arjuna, after the Chaturshloka verses of Bhagavad-gita, he says, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed by Devala, Asita, Narada. No, not that this is my opinion. Otherwise, someone will think, Srila Prabhupada said, someone will think Arjuna is just taking advantage of his friend. No, he's just glorifying him because, Krishna's done so many things for him. Krishna's favoring him, like mutual admiration society. Sometimes this happens even among us. Prabhu, you're so wonderful. No, you're so wonderful. No, you're so wonderful. No, you're so wonderful. No. And but this is, So he said, no, this is confirmed by Narada Muni and Devala Asita and so many other great sages and everyone. Anyone who has any intelligence understands. So, and then Bhishma said, but you don't understand. You don't understand who this person Krishna is. And Krishna himself says, I know the past, present, or future, but me no one knows. I know everything, but me no one knows. And then he says that yam manyase matvilayam. You don't understand. This person who you think is your cousin and who mitram priyam, your very dear friend, suhrittamam, your well-wisher, akaro sachivam, that your counselor, dutam, your messenger, you're treating, do you know who you're treating? Basically say, do you know who you're treating as your messenger, your cousin, your counselor, your well-wisher? Sordidad, your benefactor, and Saratim, and your chariot driver. Do you know who he is? He is the Supreme Lord, Sakshat Bhagavan. And because he's the Supreme Lord, That's why you had to suffer. How many of us request suffering? But sometimes we see yogis, they're sticking some little pitchfork things through their arms. And, the first Kumbh Mela I went to, there was some Nag Babas that were like sticking things. Everybody's going, looking at them, they're sticking right through their arms. And everyone is amazed. And they're just, showing that I can suffer. I can suffer. Actually, the ability to suffer, the Kshatriyas especially have ability to suffer. That was what gave away Bhishma, Arjuna, and Krishna. They got getting bit by a big insect, no problem. They knew immediately they're not Brahmins. Brahmins can't stand that degree of pain. They're not quality. But whoever you are, Jagannath, I'm your host. I have to treat you nicely. Such a beautiful culture, the Vedic culture, that even if you don't like someone, you still treat them nicely. Of course, sometimes we get carried away with that, and we don't want to call a spade a spade. Prabhupada said, you call a spade a spade. If somebody's doing something wrong in devotional service, in a proper Vaishnava manner, you say, Prabhu, you're in Maya, in a nice way. Because when we want to correct someone in devotional service, we want to correct them as devotees. We want to do it as a service. I'm doing a service. Because in reality, if I have the proper vision, I'm seeing this person is my Prabhu. One devotee wrote a letter to Prabhupada saying, Srila Prabhupada, I have so much difficulty, associating with the devotee. Prabhupada, I'll do anything for you, but sometimes the devotees are very difficult. So we sometimes feel like that also. And Prabhupada wrote back, he said, we are calling each other Prabhu. So if you say Prabhu, he is your master. You must treat him in this way. You must see him in this way. And then Prabhupada said at the end, and it's very unfortunate that you cannot get along with the devotees, because in the spiritual world there are only devotees. So otherwise you better learn how to. In the spiritual world there's also conflict, but the conflict creates bliss. Our conflict doesn't always create bliss. But actually, if we have the proper vision, in Jaiva Dharma, Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes into this question, which was, if the Lord created suffering, or if suffering, everything comes from the Lord, and suffering must also come, then He is making us suffer. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, first he says no, because if you're self-realized, you won't suffer. If you're self-realized, you will see this suffering as an opportunity to advance in devotional life. But if you're not on that platform, then yes, He's making you suffer. But He's making you suffer for a benefit. Even people who are totally not Krishna conscious. Sometimes they become atheists because of suffering. But still, life after life of suffering, more and more, they will eventually come to the point, why am I suffering? Prabhupada said, not like the dog. You hit him with a stick, and he goes around this way and comes and begs for more. And the living entity is also doing the same thing. I sometimes mention that Maya is the best businesswoman, better than any, Warren Buffett or Elon Musk or whoever you may think, Ambani, Adani. They may be good, but Maya, the woman, some women want to be, compete and be big business, but the most qualified woman in this universe, Durga, she's the best businesswoman, because she takes someone and cuddles them and then takes away everything, and then they come back again and say, please, give me more. Yes, okay. And then, and keep coming back. They give her everything, and she takes away everything, and they keep coming back and give more. So she's actually mastered the art of perfect business. Pure profit always wins. So, but she doesn't always win. That she doesn't win when you surrender to Krishna. But she does win, because her whole purpose is to bring us to that point where we surrender to Krishna. And then she becomes surrendered to the devotee. As Bhagavad Thakur said, she stands with folded hands before the devotee. This is where I was trying to bring you to this point. Now, let me serve you. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he gave the example. He didn't have to go through this suffering. But a devotee accepts suffering as Krishna's way of bringing me closer to him. A test. It's a test. It's like you go to school or university or some educational program, you get the test. And if you study properly, the test is very enlightening. No, I've learned something. I know the answers. I'm very happy. But if you didn't study, then it's a big burden. So if we study the nature of this world, and we see, and then we happen to read Bhagavad-gita where Krishna says, Dukalayam Shashvatam. This place is made to be miserable. And I mean, if you just read that one line in Bhagavad-gita, you can understand any endeavor to try to create happiness in this world is useless, because it's made for suffering, designed for suffering. And a devotee can be happy because they accept that suffering. Of course, now, we may want to be comfortable. That's another thing. Krishna said, you can be as comfortable as you want. Yudhishthira, he had, palaces. He had the whole world under his control. Parikshit Maharaj, he had unlimited wealth, and everyone would bow down to him, even when he went out to challenge. But it's not that we don't want to suffer. But we accept it when Krishna gives it to us. But we don't struggle not to suffer. We don't struggle uselessly. When the suffering comes, just like Prahlad Maharaj said to, in the beginning of this whole pastime, preaching to his friend, why are you're trying to enjoy, but this enjoyment is trying to enjoy playing with different objects. It's really not very beneficial, because you're playing with these objects, trying to create happiness, but that happiness is already predestined. And your suffering is already predestined. And later on, Narada Muni, he says the same thing to Vyasadeva, that just as you don't endeavor to suffer, you don't need to endeavor to enjoy. It's already there. Endeavor to serve Krishna, please Krishna. And then you'll get some suffering, you'll get some enjoyment. But some facility, comfort is necessary to perform devotional service. And it's necessary just to maintain the psychological equilibrium. Unless you're on the level of Queen Kunti and you're saying, give me more suffering. How many of us are on that platform? Krishna, I want to suffer more. Give me more. Give me unlimited suffering. Because when she was, saying goodbye to Krishna as he left for Dwarka, he's coming here, she said, before we had nothing and you were always with us. Now we have big palace and wealth, but you're going away. So better, let's go back I want to go back to that other condition. And when I was struggling, one wealthy man I met some time back, he said, I always remember with so much affection the time when I was struggling to become wealthy. He said, because I always, everything was very positive. I had a goal and I had great determination. He said, now I have so much wealth and I've become contaminated by that wealth. He said that. It was his realization. Because I given him Bhagavad-gita and he read it. And he was realizing that. Now I have all this wealth, I'm just trying to enjoy. And he said, I see what your master is saying, that I'm just emptying out my bank account. I struggle. When I was struggling so hard, everything had meaning. And now nothing has meaning. So anyway, this is one point, and this is about suffering. And the other point, Bhakta-vatsa, that the Lord is so, in the previous verse, Lord Brahma, he says that, basically he's saying, you're the creator of everything. Otherwise he's saying, Prahlad, the Lord made you suffer. No. Who can understand? He first gave you the blessing of all intelligence. Then he made you suffer, and then he came and saved you. Who can understand? This is what basically Lord Brahma's prayer. That you make so many things happen that are just not understandable. Queen Kunti said, "This is vilambanam." It's just you can't understand how this is amazing actions of the Lord. But Bhakta-vatsa, he always favors his devotee. Now someone may say, what about me? I'm a devotee. No. And what about me? I'm not feeling so favored. No. Everything went wrong. I lost my house. I did this. I did that. This happened to me. What's Krishna? Are you unaware of the last 25 years of devotional service I've given to you? No. So we cannot doubt Krishna. But we need some comfort. Even Prabhupada didn't want, a devotee on the one hand doesn't want to ask Krishna for anything. But sometimes to do service, we have to ask Krishna. And sometimes we have to ask just for a peaceful psychological condition, which Srila Prabhupada would also. If a door slammed, Prabhupada would become very disturbed. Especially door slamming, for some reason, just didn't like that at all. And Prabhupada required quiet. It's like I had one godbrother, he thought, let me go chant below Prabhupada's window. And he was such a Prabhupada will come out and notice that I'm chanting so nicely. He's saying Hare, walking back and forth right under Prabhupada's window. And Prabhupada he told me that Prabhupada opened the window and he thought, now Prabhupada's going to say, you're chanting so nicely. And Prabhupada said, there are so many places to chant. He was in Bhakti-vedanta. And so he said, uh-oh, I was disturbing Prabhupada. And but Prabhupada required quiet. He's translating. This is his service. So whatever degree of comfort we need to deepen our service, that is authorized, that's bona fide. Whatever degree of wealth you need to accomplish your service, if Krishna is giving you that facility, then you must take it. Even Srila Prabhupada says in, I think it's 1870, the purport in Bhagavad-gita, he says, if someone has the ability to make money and doesn't do it, this is renunciation in the mode of passion. Otherwise, if you have that ability, even Prabhupada thought that this would be my service. The astrologer said, I would be the wealthiest man in India, so I will make so much money and give it to the Gaudiya monk. That was he thought this would be my service. But then Krishna took everything away. So, bewildered. Sometimes even a pure devotee from Goloka Vrindavan becomes bewildered by Krishna, not by anything else, not by this world, not by the actions of others. But this is part of his Bhakta-vatsal potency. And of course, in the Bhagavatam, the greatest example of Bhakta-vatsal is Yashoda Mai in the Damodar pastime. This is considered to be, because with the gopis, sometimes it doesn't seem to be Bhakta-vatsal. He abandons them, he calls them to the forest, and he says, what are you doing here? You'll lose your reputation, better go home quickly. He treats them lampata. Sometimes he goes with another gopi. But with Mother Yashoda, his Bhakta-vatsal reached the highest degree. Even it says that Shukadev says that Nenam Barincho Nabhavo Nashrir Apyanga Samshaya, says that this kind of this degree of love, of understanding the supremacy and the loving potency of the Lord is not available to Shiva or Brahma or even Lakshmi. They'll never understand this degree of prasadam lebide gopi, this mercy that this gopi, Yashoda Mai, is receiving. Yat tat papya vimuktidat. This is not mukti, this is vimukti. This is special liberation from any conception. Vimuktidat. Srila Prabhupada explained that. This is a special kind of liberation, that where you're liberated from understanding that Krishna is the Supreme. Special liberation. Vimuktidat. She is drowned in that. She cannot see Krishna as anything except her son. And then Nayam Sukapo Bhagavan. Who can even understand it? Dehinam Gopika Sataha. Even those who are embodied could never understand it. And even Jnaninam, even great Jnanis cannot understand. And Sha Atmabhutanam. Even great yogis, Ita Bhaktimatam Viha. Only devotees can understand. And even devotees who are, just like in Satyavrata Muni's prayer, even devotees who are in conception of majesty, they cannot understand what this mercy that Mother Yashoda is getting, and this mercy that the gopis are getting and the cowherd boys are getting, and any devotee. I always mention that, Krishna, when he was crawling between the two Arjun trees, he was thinking, what am I doing? I'm going to liberate these two, but they're rascals. Oh, Narada Muni wants me to do it. I have to do it. But this is Krishna. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada said, the Mayavadis are not very intelligent. They want to be one with Krishna. But devotees, they become greater than Krishna. So, not that they want it, but they become, even by not wanting it, Krishna gives it. And the Mayavadis, they want to be equal to Krishna. They want to be one with Krishna. And Krishna doesn't give it. No, they just merge into his body in Brahman. And, what's the big deal? Then you're there with unlimited living entities also in the Brahman. What did you achieve? I wanted to be Narayan, and I just became one of many. I wanted to be number one, and I just became one of many. In Spanish, they have a saying, Mejor cola de león que cabeza de ratón, which means better to be the tail of a lion than the head of a rat. No? So, or better to be a small fish in a big pond than a big fish in a small pond. So, just like Matsya, no? He was a big fish in a small pond. Then he had to go to the ocean. And even then he was so big. Of course, he's the Supreme Lord. He's always, there's nothing that can contain him. Aprameya. He's aprameya. Nothing can contain him. You can't measure. You can't contain him in any way. So Lord Shiva is saying, and now we'll see as this goes on, each prayer becomes less convincing. Indra, I think Indra is the next. Yeah. So Indra, he starts saying, thank you very much for returning us to a safe condition. No. And then it goes downhill from there. No. Oh, my Lord, you created so much enjoyment for us. You've saved our enjoying condition. No. And therefore, but even Brahma and Shiva's prayer are not satisfactory, no, for Lord Nrisimhadeva. Even Lakshmi, at the end, they could see he didn't calm down. We offered prayers. And so then they basically said, Lakshmi, he's your husband? No, I've never seen a form like this. You know, Leela Shakti didn't allow her to see him in the proper way. And then they all looked at Prahlad and said, you go, you're the one that caused this whole problem. You go. Yeah, and he immediately went up to the Lord, and the Lord became peaceful. And so the point, just to conclude, this whole world becomes peaceful. We see the anger of the Lord, the anger like the anger of a father to the child, pushing us from so many directions, all these difficult situations, which is a manifestation that Srila Prabhupada says here, kopa, the word kopa in this verse, means the anger of the Lord. So that anger of the Lord manifests throughout material nature. Durga, Kali, Kali is the supreme police force. We have police like Gujarat police who have little barricades. But Kali, she's the supreme sheriff. She will make sure nobody gets away. One time Srila Prabhupada said that Durga has 10 arms. One of them has a trident, which is the 3 types of miseries. But even if you escape those 3 miseries, she has 9 more arms. So the only way is to surrender to Krishna. Prabhupada making that point. So this whole material nature is designed just to bring us to Krishna's lotus feet. And therefore, we should never become disappointed with whatever is happening to us. Never become somehow or another affected by this material nature. It's meant to bring us to Krishna's lotus feet. We just have to maintain that. And the way we maintain that understanding is by every day hearing Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-gita. Then we can remember. If you don't hear enough, then you get affected by these modes of nature. But if you hear, you'll see the modes of nature. They still will act on you. Just like if you're in a boat, you still feel the waves, but you don't get wet. But if you're in the water, then you get tossed by the wave and drown, like Markandeya Rishi. He was getting tossed. You can imagine what the waves are like. Like we just walked on the beach, little tiny waves. But the waves at the material devastation, they're bigger than planets. You can imagine if you saw a wave like that. Sometimes I've been in the ocean, and you see like a 2 or 3 meter wave coming, and the only thing you can do is dive under it because otherwise it will smash you. What to speak of like a 3 billion yojana high wave, And that's what Markandeya Rishi was experiencing. You know, like a wave as far up as the moon coming over you. Then you can't dive under that one. No. And so, the whole point of that pastime is that we can't try to find a favorable condition in this material world. The only favorable condition is devotional service. Then you can remain above the waves, above the modes of nature. Otherwise, the material world is very difficult. So we're very fortunate that Krishna is affectionate to his devotees. And sometimes his affection is difficult to understand, but we can be assured it's only for benefits. So these are some thoughts on this verse of Srimad-Bhagavad-gita, Srimad-Bhagavatam. So any comments or questions? Yes.
So, what is the concept of the Prabhupada?
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, you told the pastime of the Prabhupada, in which the devotee thought that Prabhupada would be happy if I chant the holy name of the Lord. And here also, as you said, that the prayers kept getting downgraded after like Brahma, Lord Shiva, Indra. So they thought that this will please the Lord. But how to know that what will actually please Prabhupada and Lord for us? How will Prabhupada and Lord be happy with us by our services? How to know that?
By developing proper intelligence. Proper intelligence, the Dhammi Buddhi Yogam Tam. That's real intelligence. Intelligence that Krishna gives us how to come back to him. Otherwise, what we call intelligence in this world is not really intelligence. It's just how to manipulate material nature. So that's material intelligence. But that material intelligence is useless, ultimately. It just like one devotee, he told me he sent his son to like a really top-notch school for education. And he said, then my son became an atheist. He got so bewildered by all this, really nicely, presented material intelligence, elements of intelligence. He became bewildered. And he just gave up devotional service. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada said that most educational institutions are like slaughterhouses. Unless we know how to use it, if we know how to use it, it's like Devakinanda Prabhu, he's expert lawyer, but he's using it for Krishna. And the part of it that he may not be using directly for Krishna, he's using indirectly for Krishna. Because he will win a case and he gets some money and he uses it to be Krishna conscious. But spending so much time just helping to defend the devotees against material nature. Material nature, materialistic people are always attacking us. Even other devotees sometimes attack us. And so we need lawyers. We all have to become lawyers, understand Krishna's law and how to apply that law properly. And that's real intelligence. How to apply the laws of Dharma in my life, in my preaching, in my service, in my attitude, more than anything. Because if our attitude is proper, then everything else falls in place. But if we have the wrong attitude, we may be doing the right thing with the wrong attitude, then it won't be beneficial. Then my service just becomes an external shell, just some external thing that I'm doing. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur spoke so many times about this. Tomorrow is his disappearance day, and about how Krishna consciousness has to be done with full awareness, full consciousness, and the proper attitude. And what is that proper attitude? Trinadapi Sunichena Tarodi Vasis. Lord Chaitanya gave it to us. Lord Chaitanya distilled out of the Bhagavatam the essence. Those 8 verses contain all the potency of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, just condensed into 8 verses. And so we unpack the Shikshastakam by hearing the Bhagavatam. We can unpack it in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's just letting us realize in further detail what Lord Chaitanya gave us as the essence of proper behavior and proper attitude. And the last 3 verses, the result of having that proper attitude. Tears falling from my eyes like torrents. I've never experienced that, but some people have. And Srila Prabhupada, when he was in Caracas, Venezuela, he went into ecstasy to such a degree that tears were actually shooting from his eye. 5 minutes. Devotees didn't know what to do. Prabhupada just went into ecstasy. Parama Karuna, he sang that much. And he was just feeling the mercy of Chaitanya and Nityananda to such a degree, he went into ecstasy. And the devotees are looking at each other, what do we do? Prabhupada was just shaking like this, and tears streaming down. And then one devotee remembered that he had read that Lord Chaitanya, when he was in ecstasy, that Nityananda said that chant. So everybody started chanting kirtan, and Prabhupada came up. And he couldn't continue the class. He just said, therefore we must accept the mercy of Chaitanya. And he went to his room. So when will that day be ours? When things like this happen to us? Not by imagination, and not by imitation, but by realization. That just by sincere service. Just like there were some ants in my room yesterday, and I felt like offering them obeisances, because see their how quickly they achieve the goal. Therefore, we should offer obeisances to the ants. Teach us how we can so quickly find the goal, or offer obeisances to the flies. How much determination did they have? Go this, they always come back. When the first time I went to Vrindavan, I thought, now I know why we don't eat with the left hand, because you have to use it to swat away the flies. No. That's what I thought. I was a very young devotee. This is why we don't use the left hand. So anyway, just proper intelligence. By proper intelligence, which comes from our Shastras, then we understand how to do things properly. Yes.
Related to we are going to Guruprasad city, and there in Solas, mostly in house of Bhagavad-gita already. We are going to personal house to house and shop to shop and office. There is nobody telling, I have Bhagavad-gita. How can approach you give the Bhagavad-gita of Prabhupada?
How can we approach?
Yes.
With humility, With humility, with Otherwise, we approach everything in Krishna consciousness with that one key verse of Shikshastika. We approach it with humility, we treat it with tolerance, we see it with equanimity, that we're all part and parcel of Krishna, and we don't expect anything except to have the opportunity to serve Krishna, nothing in return. So that's how we should approach the Vaishnavas, that's how we should approach our service, and then everything goes nicely. Hare Krishna. Yes, how do you go?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. My question is, we are trying to do chanting in morning time, and we are trying to complete our chanting rounds in morning time. But sometimes it happens that any senior devotee in temple commander comes to us and tell us regarding the service. So at that time, we should give priority to what? Our chanting or to the service?
Well, we can always get up earlier. Otherwise, for 2 months, only 2 months of my life, I was doing puja, and I was the only one. I was cooking and doing all the offerings. I wasn't even initiated. There was only one pujari. He got sick, and the temple president said, "You have to do it." I said, "Well, how do I do it?" He said, "I don't know." The pujari was taken to the hospital, and we had no access. And there was no internet, there was no and so he just do it. He said, "Do it. You have to dress the deity. You have to bathe the deity." Yeah. And so I had to get up at like 1 o'clock in the morning to be able to chant my rounds, because I knew as soon as 3:30 comes, there's no more time for the rest of the day. And whenever the deity slept, I slept. Like when we put the deity to rest at 1 o'clock, then I slept from 1 to 3, and 3:30, and I would get up quickly, take a bath, go, and whenever the deity rested, I rested. But the point is that I've always found in Krishna consciousness, if you want something, if you want more time to chant, you just do it. And there will be some obstacles, but if you're just very determined, then Krishna will make the arrangement. He'll make the arrangement that you can do it. But he wants to see if you really want to do it, or if you just want to avoid something. So he tests us. He already knows. He's letting us understand our level of condition. He doesn't need to test us, because he already knows. He's in the heart. He can see what we're going to do and what we're going to think before we even do it. But he wants to show us. And these tests, therefore we should see them as extreme mercy. So, I have like one zone is 11 and a half hours ahead of the other zone. It's very difficult to manage sometimes. And sometimes I have that happen. Like this morning, I had it happen. I had to deal with something at 4:05 in the morning. I was thinking I wanted to chant. I had to deal with something. Then I had to deal with another thing at 6 o'clock. And sometimes I can't even do an evening program because I have to deal with situations in the West. So I just pray to Krishna that, if you want me to chant better, then help me out. Help me resolve the situation. But I say that, but I understand it's my responsibility. Otherwise, if you dig yourself in a hole, then you have to figure out how to climb out. And you can beg Krishna's mercy, but don't blame him. just beg his mercy. Somehow or another, I got into this difficult situation. Or somehow or another, I allowed this habit to develop in my life where I waste time in the morning. Avyarta kalatvam. Again, the ants. I was realizing that this morning. They're very expert in this element of avyarta kalatvam. They don't waste any time. You put a sweet down, and they're there. Don't waste any time. So they're teaching us, don't waste any time in Krishna consciousness. So I was thanking them for giving me that lesson. And very, very, everything in this world, there are so many gurus. There are unlimited gurus, and there's only one servant. If we can realize that, I'm the only servant, everyone else is guru. Then we can prosper in Krishna consciousness. But if I think I'm guru, and Prabhupada said, then you are guru. No, you're a cow. Cow mentality. Even a cow is probably not even that fortunate, more like buffalo. No. So, but Krishna will give you, if you really want it, to figure out how to utilize time better, Krishna will give you the intelligence. Just ask him. But don't be disappointed or somehow or another question, why are you doing this? You ask me. Just like yesterday, I was speaking about the Brahmin, He said, why do you keep eating my offering? And Lord Chaitanya said, you asked me. So if we ask Krishna that please give me pure devotional service, then we have to be ready to be raked over the coals. Otherwise, we have to allow Krishna to churn up those anarthas and get rid of them. So, therefore, be careful what you ask. Or be ready. If you ask it, be ready for, Krishna. Sometimes he gives you, like very quick treatment, emergency treatment. We ask for emergency treatment, but then we don't want it. Krishna, please take away all my desires, but not these three. No. So, we can't bargain with Krishna like that. I want you to take away everything that I don't like, but don't take away anything that I like. This is not surrender. Surrender, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described as anukulyasya sankalpam, patikulyasya varjanam. That Krishna, whatever you like, I will do it even if I don't like it. And Krishna, whatever you don't want, I will avoid it even if I like it. The two first principles of surrender. So, Krishna consciousness sometimes appears to be difficult. But that difficulty assures us that this is the highest achievement, because it should be difficult. If it's not difficult, things that are not difficult generally are not. Just like if you find something that it only costs 20 rupees, you can understand no quality. No. If it costs 20 rupees or 50 rupees, there's no quality. So if we were approaching Krishna and everything was very easy on some spiritual path, we can understand this is not real. It must be difficult. And then it has value. Hare Krishna. Haribol. It's like, oh.
Haribol.
Everybody wants to hear the Bhagavatam. So anyway, I think we spent enough time. Thank you all very much for your kind attention. All glory to Srila Prabhupada, Sri Guru, Sri Guruprasad, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.